Hi, my name is Nariba Shepherd.
My name is Justin Arnett Graham.
And this is
Terms of Service.
Yep.
Yeah, felt so good.
I mean, and we were more timely
Yeah.
the second go round.
It was like what is it, synchronicity?
Oh,
Yeah. One would say it was almost symphotic.
And that's our word for the day.
That is the word for the day. Let's see how many times I can work this into our wonderful conversation. And also, really quick, before we get going, this is our 10th episode.
Round 2, double digits.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. We are officially now in the double digits, and we have another guest.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
How's
Would
it
you
going?
like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jamie.
Don't be
Fisher.
shy.
Okay, I won't be shy. Okay, so my name is Jamie Fisher, aka Chef Honeybee.
Hey, Chef Honeybee.
Hey.
Brr, 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 brr.
Yes.
I'm a chef in the industry. It's been almost 10 years now. And
Sweet.
wild ride.
We can only imagine. We're going to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
Like really, really
Deep, slow nods.
Yeah.
Wild ride.
Yes. We just got to keep the tradition going,
Yeah.
Nariba, and I'm going to let you start us off. So,
When's your birthday?
My birthday is May 11th. I am a Taurus sun.
Yeah, you are.
A Taurus sun, a Sagittarius moon, and a Scorpio rising.
We're
So-
moon buddies.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay. So, Taurus, procrastination heavy. Lazy but productive.
Accurate.
Likes nice things, but it doesn't really matter in comparison to what other people perceive to be nice things.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you are a Sagittarius moon, dad jokes. 1000%.
oh, I love a dad joke.
And
Absolutely.
Scorpio rising, you present to the world as you're ready to fuck shit up.
That's pretty on the nose. Accurate, yeah.
Hey.
I read books.
You're like, this is something that I am familiar with, and
Yeah.
I always love learning more and more about this. Anytime I hear Taurus, what I have experienced and also what I've been told is that they can be very stubborn, very like steadfast in their ways, but specifically Taurus men.
I'm dating one. He's
So-
trash. I like him.
Well, that's nice.
A lot of my like close friends are of the Taurus persuasion, and I think it's because I'm a double fire sign.
Okay.
I need to be grounded or like stopped. I need to be stopped, and that's
Oh.
what my Virgo rising does. It stops me from being too much.
I wish that we had this on video because the different voguing stops that you've
Stop.
been. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was like, thank you, because it was a moment, right?
It's
Yeah.
because I poured a red eye into my leftover coffee this morning.
So she is ready to
Yeah,
go.
ready to rip.
Perfect. Well, on that note, Jamie.
Just rip it off.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm super loyal. I'm super stubborn. You can't tell me anything.
Nope.
And I will literally work until I die.
Ah, yes.
Wow. Yuri was like, well,
That means that you were built to be in the industry, but the industry,
was not built for you.
I mean, I feel
Well,
my depression and anxiety agrees with you.
mm,
I am contractually set up to do it, but like when I try to think about going back into a restaurant right now, I get itchy everywhere.
I just had such an emotional response to that. I was like, no.
Yeah, like someone reached out to me and was like, this executive chef position is opening up, and I wanted to like
Vomit into your hands.
into my hands. Yeah, just I can't, not right now.
I feel
can't.
that at my core. Definitely. Yeah, a lot of anxiety and depression, even just like thinking about going back to a restaurant right now. Just a weird amoeba-like place that it's hard to kind of figure out where you fit into. And I'm like, you know, going back to the whole Taurus thing, I give out this appearance that I'm here to fuck shit up, but deep down I'm like the biggest soft little marshmallow human.
Aww.
So
Okay, well, air hugs on that.
They like
So nice.
they're needy.
Yeah.
But in a I don't want to
A very
be
cat.
needy. Yes,
Oh.
cat
Cat.
people.
Yeah.
Cat
Cat.
people.
Oh.
Touch me, but don't touch me. Get away from me.
You can be you want to be close, but not too close. That's like my older cat Neva. She like wants to be around, but doesn't want you to touch her. Yeah. She
Okay.
just she wants to feel like she's part of it, but
She's like, but
she's a Pisces.
she's like, but over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she's like, do that. As I've gotten older, I have realized that, you know, of course I want people to have a great time and just, you know, do whatever it is that they like doing. I'm just like, yeah, if you want to like party up, that sounds awesome. But party up over there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Turn up elsewhere. You know? It's just like, I support your ability and your energy in order to do so, but maybe down the street. Okay? Because I'm 35 and that's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Getting
gonna
older,
act like,
right?
listen, let me tell you something.
30 and holding.
Let me tell you something. I turned 31. 3 days later, not even, stiff neck for 4 days. Couldn't do anything. Could not do anything.
We were
My
talking
body's
about this
revolting.
Oh
know,
my
yeah.
god.
Yeah, so I refuse to be a day over 35. So I want to make that very, very clear. So, but
I think the cat analogy though is like a perfect example of kind of how I've felt in my experience in the industry, as far as like kind of like watching from the outer rims of it and kind
Yeah.
of just being able to observe. Like, I feel I'm very much a wallflower where I like kind of just take in everything around me, and for a long time I didn't really reflect on the things that I was seeing or kind of think about how it affected me very deeply, and how just kind of the environment that I was in not only like perpetuated kind of my own depression, anxiety, mental health struggles, but really almost like exacerbated that and kind of like fed that. So yeah, I don't know, just definitely being a cat on the outer rim
Yeah.
is an analogy for me.
the cat on the outer rim. Maybe
I like
that's
it.
what we'll name this episode.
Ooh.
You know?
Notes.
No. Someone write that down. But you know, let's start from the top, you know? So
How'd you get tricked into being
Cleansing
in here?
breaths.
Yeah.
Well, mostly I tricked myself. So I was going to nursing school. I was in nursing school, kind of just doing that. I was in my clinical rotations, and I just hated the way doctors would treat patients. I was at a hospital that was in a lower economic area, and the doctor would straight up come in, look at the chart, read some shit, and then walk out, not acknowledge the patient, not acknowledge that there was a family in the room, or literally any sort of care that I was trying to,
that's
I thought
terrible.
was, you know,
Part of what you
nursing
should be doing,
is.
yeah.
right.
And my grandfather had been a chef in Chicago, and like I'd always had an interest in cooking. But he would watch me a lot. He and my grandmother watched me a lot as a kid. And they were always cooking, and I would always be like up his ass bugging him, like, "What are you doing? What is that?" And he'd be like, "All right, peel my garlic, go away, like leave me alone." Like,
That's what I do
beard
to
my
the
muscles.
children.
Yeah, keep them busy and occupied. And so I just kind of grew up eating like a lot of weird shit. And like my grandma was from Japan, so I was the kid with like the stinky Asian house,
Yes.
and like bringing weird shit to school for lunch, getting made fun of. So I just always had like this relationship with food. And it just kind of grew from there. And I was in California for my brother's wedding, and someone gave me a copy of Kitchen Confidential, and it was just kind of over from there.
Yeah.
So I kind of duped myself into all this. I was working. I got my first job at Slurping Turtle, which is now closed. But
slurping turtle.
Slurping
Hold
turtle.
on. Yes. So really, really weird. I'm pretty sure on Mondays was like your like half off Industries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed up in that place, like with
Okay.
with my laptop, and I was at the end of the bar, and I was just like, you know what, you're gonna give me this ramen situation, and I'm gonna have some rosé, and y'all are gonna discount my shit, and I'm going to completely pay for it like there was no discount at all,
Yeah.
because you deserve this gratuity.
And that's
But-
how we
and that's just how
do
we
it.
roll.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I haven't thought of Slurping Turtle in a minute. Takahashi?
Chef Takashi.
Yeah, Takashi. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I
Okay.
want to get Slurping Turtle tattooed on my body now, just so everyone in this room is aware.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Slurping Turtle.
And I was I was going to Le Cordon Bleu at the time, which was
Oh, that place.
R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in like the 6 a.m. class, so I was still living at home. So I would drive to the city, go to class from 6 until like noon, sleep in my car, go to Turtle from like 2 to midnight, and then drive home, do it all over again.
Yeah.
And it was just like not sustainable.
No.
And I was just like,
How long did you do that for?
I did that for about 2.5 months, and then I dropped out. There was also people like drinking out of brown paper bags at 10 a.m. in class and
Yeah.
not getting reprimanded. So I was just like, I'm learning more on the job. I should just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 like days into the community kitchen program I did to like get me ready for being in a kitchen, we had a like weights and measurements class, and the teacher was like, does anyone know what a gram looks like? And too many of us were like, yeah. And she was like, how?
My last name is Graham. That's what I look like.
Oh,
It's a little dad joke. But it's fine.
I like-
Yeah, thank
I
you
did.
so much.
I did.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get chuckle about that for a little bit. But yeah, I think my first kitchen job, the chef straight up was like, you do not need culinary school. You can learn everything by just working in kitchens. And I didn't want to believe that for a really long time, until I got to the city and started to Chicago and started working with interns from culinary school. And I was like, nothing you do is efficient. And it's because they're teaching you like how to do it, but with none of the speed. And like those techniques, not all of them work the same now. But I also still in my head, I think about the fact that everyone else knew all these like techniques and phrases and like that I had no idea what it was, but I could do it. I just like didn't have the
Vocabulary?
what I like to call the white boy vocabulary about it, because like even if you don't go to culinary school, it's so much of the prestige of like knowing what your chef knows that you
But they also hoard
try to
that
do the
information.
thing. Yeah, that's the freaking problem.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
No
I
gatekeeping.
like,
Right.
it sounds cliche, but it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Like I met some of like the coolest people, like one of my all-time favorite people I've ever met, Joe Fonalera, like who has Booney Foods now, which is
Ooh,
like
I do know that one.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big ups to him. It's delicious. But I met him there, and then kind of like the other person I don't want to name, but was kind of a giant piece of shit. And
You know who you are.
yeah, you know who you are.
Yes.
I mean, this is the part where I like spill all the juicy gossip.
Oh, the tea? If the tea is hot, then, you
We
know.
sipping on it.
Yeah, we're sipping it.
It's about to be spilt.
Okay.
So basically, kind of manipulated into just like, I don't know how to say this without, I'm trying to mince words, but he basically like wooed me into a relationship, and so I was dating my boss, which is like, you know, first job, dating your boss, probably not a great idea. And then just kind of being young and naive and like trying to think that everybody's like great and has my best interest at heart.
Right.
Not only was he in a relationship with someone else, living with them, engaged to them.
Oh,
and
yikes.
kind of, I was that girl at work that had no clue and had to find out the hard way. So that was a really
I'm
interesting
sorry.
time. That was day one. Like, this
Oh,
is like
God.
my introduction to culinary. Like, this is my first kitchen job.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I was like,
You're like, we started there.
that's where I started.
All right. Wow.
So there's nowhere to go but up.
Yes. We love some upward trajectories. So
Yeah, you know, I
yes.
have to say, for like as much garbage as I had to deal with, it definitely like fueled the fire of being like, well, like, fuck you, prove you wrong. Like,
Exactly.
there's this, my favorite episode of Chef's Table, and Naka, like, she just talks about like Kuyashi, like this like fighting spirit, like, and that just resonated so much with me. It was like, oh, like, I do a lot of things in my life to just to like, not to like spite people, but to like prove them wrong and show them like, no, you were wrong and I was right.
I am fueled by spite.
Okay.
Like, and my therapist recently found out is also an Aries. Never told me I was wrong about it, but like would ask me to really think about like why it is of
Think about
spite.
the children.
That's it. My therapist loves,
Maybe.
she tells me, she's like, I love when you get angry, because like that's just such a sign that like something, when your boundaries were crossed or something, you know, and like for you to recognize that is important. Because for me, I'm just
amazing.
like, I'm doormat girl. I just like give and give and give and give to everybody. Like I just want everybody else to be good, and then like I'll get to myself later.
See, I don't let myself get angry because
You're
and
an
I wonder.
Aquarius.
Okay,
See, I'm
well,
a Taurus, and I will bottle that shit up for years, and then like it all comes out at once, and you better watch out.
Because I mean, that's what kind of makes me wonder. It's just like if I just like like stomp it deep down in there, it's
No,
just like
it doesn't make
like,
it.
I don't know.
It doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
I get mad immediately.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I
cannot hold a
get
grudge.
frustrated. I get frustrated because
I cry. I get so angry, and then I can't communicate, and
Okay.
it frustrates me, and then I cry.
But that's a problem for us in this industry
Because you're just so emotional.
because you're so emotional.
Why are you so
but
emotional?
it's like
so emotional.
I'm sorry that estrogen is like most of my makeup, and I can't stop this from happening. But please know that like this is not me crying because of any random reason. It's because I'm hurt and angry, and I can't control it. But I want you to know that everything that I'm saying is real.
Right.
It's a difficult thing. Also, someone in this room, Joey, once told me that you can't keep giving if you have nothing to give.
Can't pour from an empty
you
cup.
can't
Listen,
pour
there was
from
a
an empty
whole
cup.
fucking reading about
you know.
it, and I quit my job, and now I work with Joey. So,
So
yeah.
there you go.
Blessed.
Thanks.
Very blessed.
Job blast.
So
There
like, so that like propelled me to just be like, fuck this, I'm out. So then, the job that like really I think shaped me as a cook, because I always like to think of myself cook first, chef second, was Nomi at Park Hyatt. It was like my first hotel gig, and just going up like
worked there.
7 floors to this beautiful dining room, and like they have the best of everything, and like you get a pressed uniform every day, and like it's like a whole thing, and it was the most like, just to me, like looking back now, it's just like, yeah, that's like a hotel kitchen, whatever, but like at the time was so like
Bougie.
I felt like
Right.
Anthony Bourdain in the fucking Rainbow Room in New York, I was like, I'm that bitch. And then it was like, you don't know like what the fuck you're doing, like you can't do anything, you're so slow, and it was all men. I was the only female savory cook, and
As
so,
is tradition.
as is tradition, we're a very unique brand of cook. And I think there is like really when I started to fall into this like just like survival mode of like I gotta keep up with these guys, I gotta be a part of this clique, this group, and like, oh my god, like I put up with so much shit that like now maybe just as an old like salty bitter woman I'm just like, fuck that, like no thank you.
Yep.
But like getting locked in the cooler, or like just the fucking bullshit of like hiding your shit, or I don't know, making you feel stupid. I remember there's one moment, and I've like talked with this cook about it, and he like feels bad to this day, but he like made me try and name all the mother sauces, and like I can't do that. Like I'm not like that where you put me on the spot.
Exactly.
And I like was like, ugh, I got like 3 deep and then just like started crying.
They love that question.
It's like, when the fuck does it ever matter? Like, when does
because they used to
it was a lot of CIA grads, which whatever, like good for you, but like
they would do that a lot at a fine dining restaurant that I used to be a part of, and it was just like, no, I mean, duh, like you're so. I'm just like, is this like hazing? Oh, the answer is yes, it is, but it's like, you're not being hospitable, sirs, or but. Whatever. We're going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. And so, very specifically, do you feel as if the current structure of this industry is mindful of the female experience and or contribution?
I think that they think they are.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of just like talk and bullshit. And I think that a female chef there's so many female chefs that are absolutely talented, amazing at what they do, and I think they just like find one that they think is marketable, and then just like not, I don't want to say sexualize it, but like fetishize it, like, oh my god, look at this chick, she can,
like,
whatever.
Can you believe that this is what she could do?
Yeah. But then even within the system, it's like, for the longest time I was just like, yeah, but she, like, and I would like hate, and then it's like, I should be like happy for her, but I also don't agree with how she's being like portrayed. So it's just, I think I'm going to go back to the Chef's Table episode with Anaka, where she's just like, I chose to close those walls so you can't see who's cooking your food because it shouldn't fucking matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Damn. I have a lot of feelings about being a uterus holder in the industry. And for me, one of the number one thing is literally not being heard. And I remember, like, there's this scientific fact that, like, men literally can't hear us sometimes when we're talking because of the pitch of our voice. And I remember, like, saying that in a kitchen, and the joke was, in response was, well, maybe you don't have anything to say. And, like, oof.
That just made me so mad.
Exactly. And at the time, I remember just like hearing it, absorbing it, and then like spitting something back out, because it's like, you have to take the lumps as you go. But in retrospect, I'm like, no one should have to like absorb an impact like that and then carry on with their day.
I had a chef turn to me one time, and so my brother, back up. My brother is a recovering heroin addict and had a relapse like 2 years ago, and I was really upset about it because like I got the text like mid-service, and I was just like, chef, like, this is what's going on. I'm just like, really, whatever. And he goes, you need to realize that your brother's gonna die one day.
Whoa.
And I was just like, okay, so 2 chicken, heard, got it.
Yeah. No.
Thanks for the support though.
What?
Like, you heard that, but like, no.
I mean, yeah, that's an absorbed. Yeah. I just need to think about that for a minute, because that is wild. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, that's like just barely scraping the surface. I've been researching this thing like cognitive dissonance, and I think it's something that I struggled with a lot because like talking about being like the cat on the outer rim is like, there's this boys club, this like group, and like they're all, it's like honestly worse than women, like cattier than women. I'm like shocked.
Yes.
I don't want to generalize, but like that's just in my own experience what I've seen. And like believing all the things that I believe, but then like very blatantly ignoring that and acting like completely separate and opposite of how I feel.
Yes.
And how that just continued. I was like gaslighting myself and manipulating myself, and like, what the, I don't believe any of this. Why am I behaving this way?
But that's how we can do the thing in the industry for so long. I said to one of my exes, I was like, maybe you shouldn't be doing fine dining because you don't hate yourself enough. And I was literally a sous chef at my first hotel job, and like opening this place up, and she's like 3 months away from a nervous breakdown / the end of our relationship. But like, why was it that out of my mouth came, you need to hate yourself more to do this? Because I didn't realize that I hated myself that much, that I was just like taking shifts that other sous chefs didn't want because it was the morning and they're like, it's unruly and I can't do it. And I was like, I will switch to the morning to prove to you that it can be done. And like, I think that going back to the spite thing, it's like, I feel like a lot of women or female bodied people in this industry feel like they have to do that. They have to like prove that they can be there. And I feel even more for like people of color, specifically women of color in the industry, it's you have that times 3 because you have to prove that you're better than men. You have to prove that you're working as hard as white men. And I am also an immigrant, so I had to deal with the additional layer of like people being surprised that I've made it that far. You know, and when I try to talk to my like cohort about it, they don't get it because they're 95% white men who couldn't begin to understand the experience that I'm having, because even if you have nothing as a white man, you still have a safety net that society has given you. And I feel like I've lived and I've like lived an entire life knowing that I have no safety net. So I create my own boundaries for safety, but it's within this web that I have no control over. So yeah, I can't remember where we started, but all of those feelings are real.
Yeah.
I think too, for me, so kind of my own personal story, like I'm like a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I deal with like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I have a litany of like mental health diagnoses, like it, and the industry was kind of just the perfect structure to just like promote that and like let it to like grow and keep going. And just these relationships that I allowed to continue in the way that they did and not kind of advocate for myself or protect myself or speak out for myself. Like I try to just like shove myself in there and make it work, and it just like it just kind of like created this monster. And like I was working a really great job. I was getting like a lot of recognition. The restaurant like won a bunch of awards, and I just like, it was supposed to be this happy, amazing time in my life, and
but you feel nothing.
I felt so numb, so empty. It's amazing. Like I look at pictures of myself from then. I was like 40 pounds less than what I am now. Like fucking rail thin.
I can't imagine that.
Very, very thin. Not taking care of myself. Not showering. Not like literally like the joke. My like joke pet name was Dumpster Girl, and like it was just such an accurate reflection of how I felt about myself at the time. And
did you refer to yourself as Dumpster Girl?
Yeah,
or
everybody.
That's like some Fat Amy shit. Like Pitch Perfect, where she's like, my name's Fat Amy.
Because if I call myself that,
these twink bitches can't do it for me.
They can't hurt my feelings because I'm already calling myself that.
Yeah. Her name was Pam at the end of the movie, by the way. Or Patricia. Patricia!
Okay.
I'm sorry. That was just weird. Anyway. Going back to like the initial question of, do you like...
I'm so ADD. I'm going to be all over the
Oh,
place.
no, you're
no,
fine.
you're
Yeah, that's why we have a sheet here.
Got it.
Do you feel like at any point you felt like the male chef around you like sort of really took your contributions and what you were bringing to the table, like
No.
for real?
No, it was cute. It was always cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Oh, that's so cute. It's a cute idea. Cute.
So like,
Which is a no.
Yeah.
so how did you then take all of the wealth that you have? How did you move that into what you're doing now? How did that like pave you to here?
Yeah, because I mean, you're definitely killing it, and doing it on your own terms. It seems like so.
I mean, I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, according to social media, I'm doing private events and catering. I've done one gig. So it's really, it's interesting that that's what the perception is. Like, I'm just really trying to take, this is amazing.
What?
We're going to pause for a second and just talk about this?
Wait.
Cool.
So, Ashley Christine of Garnet just brought us this. How
Delightful
Well, yeah.
ray of sunshine.
Is this with the cocoa cream?
That
wait.
is.
The cocoa cream? Yes.
we're just. So the show's over. So we're
Yeah,
just
I'm
gonna,
just
We're
absorbing
done
this.
now.
Mhm.
This is it.
I want to drink this like in my garden, in the sunshine,
Talking
talking to my plants because that's what I do now.
It's like a snow cone.
Yes, this pina colada is the spirit-free pina colada is just amazing. With like the. I'm just blown away by the flavor profile in this, and I can't actually talk about like what's in it. But you know, there's a cocoa cream, there's Ritual Beverage Tequila. Thank you so much to our friends over there, and then B Brothers bitters.
Yes.
Yeah, which are non-alcoholic bitters. This is
Pineapple juice. Yes.
yes. Let me tell you a thing or two about
And this
code
cute
switching.
little like flamingo girl.
Yeah, the flamingo.
I got him in my hair. Oh my god. And there's a little cherry under.
This is absolutely delightful.
Yes,
This is
well,
lovely.
air cheers.
Just gonna.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, do it for the gram.
Yep. Well, I mean, for later.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god.
Well, where were we?
I literally cannot remember.
Okay.
Talking
Because
about
snow
just
cone.
my the perception that I'm like crushing it. Right now.
Yes, like you are crushing it, and
Like this ice.
you know, just really. Yes, crushing it like this crushed ice from Just Ice. Yes. So thank you very much.
So I've done like one gig, but to be completely transparent and honest, I think that like cooking has been just a bad relationship, and so like I'm kind of breaking up with the industry right now, and
Same.
that's a whole
Yeah.
thing in and of itself. And I'm going back to school in a month, and
What are you going back to school for?
tech, UX, UI design. So
Awesome.
yeah, and it's really interesting because it kind of just involves like psychology, anthropology, and like a fuck ton of empathy and design, and being able to like work with others. So I think I've developed that.
I think, yeah, I'm full circle. I went to school for like people, social work, and now I'm like thinking about going back to school for my master's for like sexual health and relationship therapy specifically.
that's great.
Just because so much of what I learned in school did come into play the more I like moved up in the industry, because I realized that I had to learn how to talk to people instead of just being like a fucking garbage pirate in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And like
That's the whole thing.
when I started noticing the shift in my mental health to like I couldn't keep it together anymore, I was like, I wonder how my employees feel. And so I think like by breaking up with food in a professional way, I'm learning to like love it again, because it's just for like me, right?
love
and
that.
it's
Yeah.
whatever like I want to do, that's what's going to be out there. Like people are like, do you want to do these catering things? And I'm like, no. Do you want to do these events where you just show up as you and do you? Yes. Because people, and also because of the internet, I feel like consumerism and people wanting to like have an opinion in their food is great, but it's not if you like aren't ready to respect the culinary world and like why we do things a certain way, why things are done that way to begin with. And I think fusion food for me is like when people start talking about like fusions of things, I'm like, why can't we just let it be what it is? Fish sauce and things for no reason.
I have my own bitterness about that. I just like, so for me, like, my grandmother's from Sendai, Japan, and when she came here, it was, like, very uncool to be Japanese. So she, like, hid that shit very hard.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
She was abandoned by, like, my biological grandfather and, like, just the whole thing. Like, so didn't speak any English, 2 kids in the United States, had to figure it out. That's where she met my grandfather in the restaurant. He was a chef. She was the waitress, and, like, the rest is history. But, like, so I, like, grew up eating, like, natto and, like, shit that, like, kids, like, would be freaked the fuck out by.
Yeah.
And, like, so I was taught, like, I grew up being, like, ashamed of that. And now I see, like, dudes making, like, white dudes making a fuck ton of money off of, like,
A fuck ton of money.
yakitori and, like fucking katsu. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, like, great. That's cool. Like, I respect you, and I respect that you worked very hard, but, like, now I have to kind of, like, cope with the fact that, like,
You were
I'm so
told to
alienated from my
deny
culture.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
But now it's cool.
Yeah.
So,
For me, the
Yeah, so
separation.
now you can be who you are now because
Yeah.
yeah.
The separation was for me in fine dining, where all the food that I like to cook and eat and like is part of my heritage does not present in a pretty way.
so yeah, and, like, that I think is such bullshit, because I find so much more beauty in, like, a dish that I got off a street vendor that's fucking delicious
Yes.
than, like, some tweezer fucked with piece of, like, something that I don't even know what the fuck it was to begin with.
Do
Like,
you know what I use my tweezers for now?
gardening?
To eat kimchi directly from the jar.
Ah,
That is
yes.
what I use it for, and that's about it. I should use it for gardening, though.
It's a
You're
good little,
correct.
like,
Yes, I'm with it. Okay.
So, I have a question. So, with you, paving your own way and doing all the things. I mean, what's been, let's talk both sides of the coin here. What has been the most fulfilling, and also what's been the most difficult? Would you say?
I think the most fulfilling would probably be the good ones that I've met throughout this. Like, I think just, like, meeting, like people like you and, like, Joey, and, like, just like the gems, you find these gems, because it's like we just struggle through a lot of shit that, like, a lot of people don't understand. Like, it's, the long hours, the isolation, you only see the same 5 people every single day for your entire day, and, like, that's your world.
Yeah.
And so I think just, like, really finding those relationships that really, like, grow you and, like, I mean, just make you better. I think that's been the most fulfilling thing for me. And I think having to go through all the struggles that I did only pushed me further into, like, finding my own healing and finding my own path. And, the most difficult, I think, was deciding to leave. The last kind of straw for me, when I came back from Oakland after losing my job and, like, pandemic hit and everything. I had an opportunity to open a restaurant, and it was like, I was so excited about it. And, it's just, when you write menus and you create these dishes, it becomes very intimate, and it's very much a part of you. And, it was like, I think just inexperienced owners and not knowing, like, what they wanted, or just people being on different pages. And so by the end of it, like, my menu was completely different. It was burgers and fucking chicken nuggets. And, like, I was getting Yelp reviews about how they knew the chicken nuggets weren't house made because they weren't shaped like dinosaurs. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm not back here making fucking handmade chicken nuggets. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So,
Which I did in the pandemic.
yeah. And then it was like, I was trying to do all these, like, family meals and trying to, like, just, like, morph into whatever I needed to be in the moment. And
It's a lot.
it's a lot, and I just fucking lost my shit. And then one day someone at work told me to smile, and I just fucking lost it and was like, this is it, I'm done. So that was kind of it. And I, like, slunk into, like, a really bad depression. And then, going back to the age thing, I'm 30, and I had shattered wrist when I was 19, and had this metal implant in my wrist for 10 plus years that should have come out the year after, but I didn't have health insurance, so I couldn't afford the surgery. And it was causing me a ton of pain, and I couldn't use my left hand anymore. I, like, would drop pans, it would just give out. So I was like, I gotta take care of this. So I had surgery, and then that was around Christmas, and, like, I literally hadn't touched a knife. I hadn't cooked anything until probably, like, February or March. Like, I was just so heartbroken and depressed, like, just crying every day. Like, fuck, man. Like, I've spent my last, decade trying to build this person and I'm nothing now. If I'm not a chef, then what am I?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when the pandemic happened, and literally like a decade of work that I had just started seeing, like the fruits of my labor just got yanked away from me. Like I thought that I could like move from this restaurant where I had the same experience, where I like thought it was going to be one way, and then I realized they wanted it to be different, and I chose to leave because I realized I wasn't making them happy and I wasn't happy anymore, and I could like feel the people around me not feeling the good vibes, and I was like, I just need to get out of here. But I also had like young guns pulled out from underneath me, and I'll never be able to do it because now I'm 31 and last year was the last time that I could do it, and that like brought me all the way down. Not being able to like get a job at a sous chef level, even though I was like a chef, that pulled the soul out of me. I like literally didn't cook anything after the first 3 weeks of quarantine for 65 days. I like couldn't bring myself to do it. And now I feel like I enjoy cooking for myself in a way that I never did before, because I realize that it's not about like what you're doing, it's about the sustenance that you're providing. Right. And when I stopped caring about what I was cooking, like for other people, I rediscovered like I do love food, but it can't be like the way it was before.
Yeah.
Which is why I can't imagine going back to a kitchen, because none of what kitchens are structured for right now supports who I am as a person and what I need. And I think that a lot more people will find themselves feeling that way after this pandemic, going back into kitchens. Because, like, if you had to get a job outside of the service industry, you now realize that you're being worked in a way that is only beneficial for those above you and not for yourself. And you're not making enough money. You probably don't have benefits, and you're probably not like caring for yourself, because it's cool to work 24 hours a day, and it's cool to like hang out with your friends after work and be back in like 3 hours, because that's the way that they made it.
Well, because there's a camaraderie.
The proving of worth in this industry is so crazy. Like I just feel like, that's all I did is I just had to prove that I could do this just as good as you guys.
But like we shouldn't have to prove anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I want to touch on, just something that you mentioned just now, Nuriba. It's like, you're doing all of these things, and it's for the, betterment of, ownership and, management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to touch on, really respectability politics on that, right? Mm-hmm. So just as a male in the industry, and I have never worked in the back of house, my point of view comes from the front of house perspective, from the, concept perspective, and also the service perspective within the hospitality spectrum. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on, have you felt respected from the different tiers of the industry, from ownership to management to even your own colleagues? And is there, I want to talk about that a little bit as well.
So I think at the end of the day, people are people, and there's going to be good ones. There's going to be not so great ones. And
these are the facts.
These are the facts.
Yes.
True facts.
Yes.
And in my experience, I've been mostly disappointed by most people that I've been surrounded with. From, ownership, just not like I don't want to call out the group, but I know there's a group that like I heard like we're proud of the fact that they only paid minimum wage to cooks, and like that was something that they like were like proud of, and it just blew my mind. And then just from like front of house, back of house, like the amount of times that I've just been groped or like like when you pass someone on the line and it's just like, they have more inches and they're just rubbing their dick on the back of your butt and like just shit like that, or just personal space invasion, or like, just like the drinking, like feeling like, I openly had like a very serious drinking and like drug abuse problem, like as I was like heavy in it. The most successful point in my career was like very much fueled by booze and uppers. Like,
same.
I would get up for the day, drink my coffee, do, whatever I had to do to be at the pace I needed to be. And then at night it was, like 4 whiskey neats and then, a Xanax to fall asleep because I was so up. And then it's 4 hours of sleep and you're working doubles Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday through Friday. And like, it just like humans like shouldn't, it's not built for us. It's not built for people like me. Like I have too many feelings, and at this point, like I just won't take the bullshit, and then maybe that makes me not hireable. But
I think it's different when like we say that we won't
real,
take the bullshit. I feel like it's different when we
like,
say
"Don't
we
hire
won't
me."
take the bullshit because if a guy says that, it's respected. But if we say it, it's like,
why are you complaining?
Why are you complaining? Yeah. And I like a large part of me moving forward was that like I worked with chefs who like would say to me that they like my creativity. They like me pushing myself and like doing all these things. But then the actions, like a chef that I worked with would be like, I support you, I support like what you're saying, blah, 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 whatever. And then when I would get in front of the staff and start like talking about all the things we had discussed in the meeting, he would immediately start like backtracking what I was saying because it was too like firm or too harsh. And I was coming off as like being a bitch, which I mean, like I am, but I was literally saying the same shit as my male counterpart.
That's such bullshit.
And it would just makes me heard in a different way. Yeah, so I think that, like, in a way, I did learn a lot from these men along the way, and I feel like to a certain extent, they were able to respect me as much as they could. But, like, now, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I will shit on someone if they like say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. Like it was to a point where if I would go and hang out with people after work, they would try to like get away with saying like dropping the F-bomb. And I'm not talking about fuck, kids. And I would like
hard Fs.
Yeah.
The hard
Fs.
Fs.
I don't like that.
And I would be like, what'd you just say? And they'd be like, sorry, chef. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if we're like in the kitchen, not in the kitchen, whatever. Like, don't fucking
ever
say it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Especially as like being a whole ass queer. I'm like, I'll show you the F word.
Yeah.
Shit on your chest.
I can eat it.
That was nasty.
Sorry.
That's it. Yeah. I like it.
I cannot identify with these experiences specifically. However, my experience, draws a lot of parallels, also being, queer, people just getting to a certain level of comfortability, but it's still anchored in disrespect. I will never forget speaking to a very prominent Michelin-starred chef, and I was wearing glasses like I often do, but it was, the frames were green. And as I was talking to him literally about, this 13-course tasting menu and this, this very impressive list of allergies that I'm dealing with here, he's like, I just want to know, like, the Andy Warhol glasses, is it because you're, and I was like,
because I'm what? Yeah.
right.
What?
I was like, because you want to say it, but also, we're in the middle of service, and like, you got a job to do, or you got like, a brigade to really demean. And it's just when I think about the industry in its totality, I always reference that experience, because there are people that you will speak with and have to have a level of respect because you're working with them, but to know that they think that you are less than literally because of
X, Y, or Z.
X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Knowing your place.
Yeah.
Know your place.
Yeah.
In college, I took an Asian religions class, and the one thing that is like permanently burned into my brain is that this professor, who genuinely thought he was from a different like planet, and he was sent here to Earth to like learn about our different religions. This is how he presented it to us. He was teaching us about Confucianism, and he was like, you know, it basically comes down to one thing: shut your hole and know your role. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And like, that is the mentality
that
sounds
Confucius as hell.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
But like, I took that mentality into like everything that I knew, because I was like, I want to learn what is going on here instead of just coming in and being Columbus in it.
I mean,
just
you
like,
know,
I know it's best.
Yeah, there's
He
that,
did not have this accent.
there is that.
But he does now.
Oh, but he
Yes.
does
Oh
now.
my God.
Yes,
Yes.
there's that colonizer mentality right there. You know, you can't not help to do
Oh
it.
my God. And then like, if we want to get into like generational trauma, like that knowing your place.
Oh.
I mean, I like my brain's like short circuit.
Listen, my mother was born in the 50s on an island where her dad could only be out in public with like 3 of the 9 kids because they passed, and all the others had to like hang out with my grandmother. But I feel like a lot of what I learned about being like a woman came from my mom, who was raised by like her her mother and then her paternal grandmother, who is like this just blind Chinese woman straight off the boat, you know, who cooked and burped like me. You're welcome. And I feel like my mom talks a lot about like the family structure and how she was raised, and I think a lot of it comes from shutting your hole and knowing your role. You have to fit this like 50s wife mentality, and my mom just doesn't fucking understand me. She's like, like, I don't know what's going on with you, but I love you. And like, I think it has taken a lot of growth for people to like let go of what was and see that change is okay. And I think that older people have had more success than any man I've met in the industry in the last decade, of like being able to like leave that, which is fucking crazy, because old people do not change their minds quickly.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry.
you're all good. No. For me, like, you know, my grandma coming here, nobody wanted her. And then my mom being born, she was half white, half Japanese. And so the Japanese community didn't want her because she was half white. Half white didn't want her because she's half Japanese. And so she kind of just grew up being like, don't ruffle any feathers. Don't, you know, just fit in as best as you can. Don't, you know, like, just very, and like, I'm so not that. And like, I was struggling with that for such a long time. And now it's just like, I don't know any other way than to be authentically 100% aggressively myself.
Yeah.
So
Would you say a lot of that comes from being in the industry, or just existing in life has gotten you to here?
I think definitely the industry, because I just kept my fucking mouth shut for so long and damn near swallowed my tongue half the time that it's just like but there's no space left to contain it anymore. So it's just
God. As you said, swallow my tongue, my brain just went to the Joy Luck Club so hard. I fucked with that book so heavy when I was a kid. Shouldn't have. But when I think about like how I structured myself to exist in the kitchen, it was very much like, I cannot remember her name right now, but the main character who played chess and did all of the tournaments, she like would contort her personality to like be what these like white boys that she played against,
It's so hard
to like be acceptable as like this acclaimed chess player, and then goes home and her family's like, you need to be better. And I'm like, oh shit, that was like my entire time being in the industry, is just like me trying my best to like just do my job and move forward and like not ruffle any feathers. And then I would go
Like,
and
minimize
complain.
yourself.
Yeah.
Being small to let other people shine is a huge thing, I think, for women in the industry. Like the men that I've supported in the ways that I've supported, like, and never reciprocated.
No. And when you try to talk about it, they minimize. They're like, well, you know, like, it's different. I'm different now.
Yeah.
Same.
Because of all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I would kind of let my tongue out of my throat and like kind of talk for myself, it was like, how dare you dissent after all I've done for you?
Yes.
Do you see where you are? It's because of me. Like, no, I'm pretty sure I was the one that was opening the restaurant at 7 fucking a.m.
I fucking wish
I was
a
here.
bitch would.
Yeah.
No, I don't even respond to text messages anymore from some of these people, because it's like, after a year of you seeing all the things that I've presented on social media, the conversations we had for years before that, how can you come out of your mouth and have anything to say to me when you're part of the reason that I am so strongly against going back to the industry as it stands right now?
Which I think is like a great dovetail into like, you know, like, is this built for us? No, I think that's a lot of like empty words and people just like making these fluff pieces, or like, you know, saying all these things like, oh, the industry's so different. It's just like, yeah, and when you say it like that, but like day to day, not really.
No.
Like nothing has changed.
No. In a micro world,
tiny things. So like for me, I think the change that I've seen in the Chicago industry is like minute, micro, like little things, but only because, well, I'm scared of getting Me Too'd. I can't say that because I'll get Me Too'd.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this because it's like, don't you want to not do that to be not a shitty person? And I don't know, like that's just
you should want to,
I agree with the words that you're saying, but I feel like, you know, like a game of telephone, I feel like it's gonna hit some eardrums and be completely different. Like, and it's just from what we're saying through their headphones. So looking forward to that one. Just like really think, I think as soon as you ask specifically men to think about like why something is bothersome for us but not them, it's the first time they have to have that like that thought. Like when I used to complain about leaving like super late because I had to take like the bus or I had to take a train and then like walk home, they'd be like, well, maybe you shouldn't be working nights. And it's like,
maybe you should accommodate me.
Maybe you should, yeah. Have you ever crossed the street because you saw a stranger walking towards you? No, never thought about, like,
have you ever worried about your physical safety? It's just like reminded me, I was working, I left a job to go work at another job in River North, and that chef told me, have fun getting raped in the alley. I was like, cool, thanks,
what?
chef. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
oh yeah, rape van jokes. I had to literally out myself at a job to get them to stop making rape jokes.
The fuck is
like,
wrong with people?
Because I brought it up, and then like the next day, this guy made the same joke, and I had to literally corner him in the dish pit and be like, I know you think that this is funny, but as someone who has been sexually assaulted, this is not fucking funny. And it was like, you saw his whole demeanor change, and it's like, goes back to what I've been saying since like our first recording, 00. It only matters to you until it matters to you, and that's the mantra of white men. Sorry, white men. Actually, no. That is it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't touch them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even come close to their orbit, you know. And there was something that was shared with me as recently as yesterday of someone having an experience in the front of house of a well-regarded restaurant, and you know, they were very emotional when they were speaking, just because they were so frustrated and teetering on anger, because it goes to show how little they cared about that person and how they wanted to place blame on that individual because a guest didn't like a certain sort of, you know, joke that was made that was just very harmless. It's a very cultural thing.
Yeah.
But so it's like those dynamics also exist in the front of house, to where you're like, I'm looking for someone to have my back, or to at least like see me.
Yeah.
And to just acknowledge and to just make the conscious decision to go the other way.
Yeah, no.
And then people just have to deal with it, because they're like, I still, like, you know, like, I need this job, I got to pay my bills, like, you know, it's kind of whatever. But it's like you carry that, you know, and you just keep, you end up like resenting them and resenting your profession. And, you know, eventually it starts evolving into you resenting yourself for allowing yourself to even have someone disrespect you like that, or to have someone minimize you like that. And that's a massive part of, you know, mental health in this industry. I feel like when we talk about mental health, it's a big point of, you know, how you're feeling. It's okay to not be okay, but it's like, let's focus on all of the contributors that make you end up just like not resenting the industry, but like really just looking at yourself like you've been doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And like that realization is heavy. And, you know, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on, you know, you have been so like graceful in how you speak about mental health, and, you know, I'd love to just hear anything in addition to that you'd love to share on this platform, and that you feel it's really important for people to hear, not only just from the back of house perspective, but just from a human perspective.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. I feel like I just emotional dump on the internet and people are like, but
no, we're reading it like, I understand.
Thank you.
No.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit adrift out there, but
that's because of where we came from in the kitchen. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're fine.
I think the biggest thing is that just like, if you feel like there's something wrong, there probably is, and you need to look at that and like really listen to your body and listen to yourself, listen to your gut. It's just, I always put everybody ahead of myself, and I always put my chef's like dreams ahead of mine, and whatever I could do to support everybody else. And like I just ignored myself for so long and let things get to the point that they did. And it's just, you know, if you see someone struggling, say something. Like, it's all of our responsibilities. Like, there was a point where I was taken out into the alley and screamed at because I wasn't managing another sous chef well enough, because she kept saying, I'm gonna kill myself, it was just like a point where it was such a small team. There's 6 of us, and like literally 3 out of the 6 were suicidal, and like one of them like made an attempt at one point, and it was just like, no, like there was no accountability. Like, what am I doing that creates this environment where people literally want to end their life?
Well, and then there's it seems so normal in the industry to threaten self-harm upon yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for instance, it's, you know, I've had friends and former colleagues, and they're like, you know what? I just want to do like a Pocahontas dive off this fucking rooftop because this place is driving me insane. And it's just like, it could be like funny in jest, but, you know, there's something deeper there, because like, you're not happy, and you're not happy in this environment, but you feel tethered to it, literally because of society and all of these other factors. But it's really, really important for people to feel like they're empowered to say something and not feel othered when they do.
Yeah, and I think therapy, I can't support therapy enough. Therapy, group therapy, online therapy, whatever therapy you can get it. I was just there was just so many things, decisions and things in my life that I was doing that I was just like, this is not me, why am I doing this? And it was almost like a compulsion, I didn't know why. And I'm the type of person that just thinks too much about everything, so it's always just why? And I'm so grateful for my therapist, Emily. If you're listening, I know we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, so shout out. She's great. She actually, my therapist was in the industry. She was a server, while she was in school. So she's like, I get it. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really caring for yourself. And I think, something that I've struggled with, kind of understand, in this whole pandemic, for me personally, I have grown more than I have in the past decade.
In the last year.
And just the growth has been insane. And I think it's because it's the first time in my life I was ever not working and ever not even able to, but really more forced to sit with myself and reflect and think through all these things. And I think most importantly is that you're never alone. Always reach out. When I'm depressed, I isolate, and you won't hear from me for days or weeks.
How has your art been therapeutic in that, right?
Yeah. So I think for me, just not having this sole focus of best chef ever. There's so many other facets to me, and there's so many other parts of me that I've just not tapped into. And I think the art is really important for me. I was always super artistic as a kid, but just to be able to express myself in that way, because I've always struggled to communicate. I've never been able to find words.
Big Taurus energy.
Huge. Right. Yeah. It's can't communicate it, but I can paint it. I can
you
show
feel
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge outlet for me. And I think also just the general self-care, this sounds crazy, but bathing regularly, doing my makeup,
I feel hyped if I could shower. If I can shower,
can we also talk about nails really quick? I haven't had my nails done in fucking forever.
I'm so sorry that I don't have anything to offer you this time, but my nails have been popping the last 3 or 4 times.
Oh, absolutely.
They have. I've been following for the nails.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, even just small self-care things like that, because I think when I like to talk about energy, so feminine energy and masculine energy, I've been so tapped into this masculine big tough chef that it's I'm actually really not that at all. I'm this soft, I said, marshmallow fluffy pillow person. So just kind of fostering that part of me.
It's important to care for the inside bits.
Yeah, but mostly I think through all this thing, the whole thing is if I could just talk to young girls getting into the industry, don't fuck your boss, don't try to keep up with the guys, and just take care of yourself. And if you are feeling some type of way about something that someone says or how they treat you, fucking call that shit out.
Yeah, say
because
it.
Yeah.
if you just keep that inside, it is literally I always equate it to my plants. If your roots are diseased, your plant is not going to grow. And I mean, I think
there's
plants
ways to fix that. And
Yes.
there are ways to fix
and
that.
it is fixable, but if you just ignore it and keep cutting off branches, you're gonna the plant's gonna die. You're just you gotta address the problem at the root of what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was going to say, for all the plant daddies out there, the
And
way that
zaddies.
you deal, plant zaddies, you damn right, the way you deal with your rotting roots is you take that shit out of the pot. 1 part peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, to 4 parts water. Give it a little aeration in there, a little soak for 20 minutes, repot.
Oh.
Save your plants.
All right. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
perfect.
Boil
Okay, yeah.
your soil.
Yeah.
That'll help with the gnats.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been okay. Let's I've been watering
Yes.
from the bottom to help with that.
Butt
but-
chugging.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do like that. Yes.
This is gonna be such an odd segue, but I'm fine with it. And so, with everything that we've talked about so far, it's like I keep getting this reference of, you know, community amongst your colleagues, right? Because those restaurant ecosystems are their own communities. You know, they have their own little sets of rules and expectations and
Little
you know,
kingdoms.
Yeah, little kingdoms, exactly. And so, what is accountability to you, like in a positive fashion? Like, what does that look like that people should, you know, strive for, or even just potentially even acknowledge?
I think if you say something, be a person of your word. You know, follow up on that.
Yeah.
For me personally, I think I try to approach everybody with kindness and compassion and empathy, and understand like where they are in their journey, and try to like meet them right there. I'm like I just feel like I'm so like ashamed of like some of the shit that I've allowed to go on. So for me, it's just a lot of like educating myself, fucking speaking up. Like kind of a weird I don't know, this is just like a weird thing, but like all of like the hatred and shit that's been going on lately, like if I'm on the train and I see like an elderly like Asian person, like I creepily sit behind them, and I'm like, I wish someone would like come try some shit right now, because I will fucking destroy you.
Yeah.
And just like trying to protect the people that need it, and boost the people that deserve it or that I believe in. Just trying to like be like approach life like in an ethical, like responsible, mindful, aware way, and doing whatever I can to make a positive change. And I think that's a huge reason why I'm leaving the industry, is just like I don't feel like I can create the impact or the change that I want to see behind you know, behind the doors. It's chained to a stove.
Yeah.
Like I'm meant for more.
Yeah.
I think that's a really like that's one of my favorite things we've been talking about on this podcast is, you know, this throughout this pandemic, there's been such a huge like importance placed on the service industry, and yet you're the, I think, third guest in a row that's looking to get out of the industry. All four of us around this table are no longer actively working in the service industry, and yet we still have such a passion for it. Where is that disconnect? And I think that's a huge thing that we've been talking about today and in general on this podcast that I absolutely adore.
I just think there's so
Thanks,
much
Max.
yeah, there's so much empty promises, and I think that like people like Ryan Pfeiffer and Big Kids is like my saving and
Yes,
like
we love Ryan Pfeiffer. We love Big
love him so
Kids.
much.
You are the best.
Absolutely.
Until I see more actual restaurants that operate that way and more chefs that like just are that way, I don't want to really be a part of it.
On the way here, I mentioned that like someone reached out to me about an executive chef position at a place like around the corner from here, and it boils down to like I don't want to go into a place that already has any ideas of like what it is and what it's trying to be. I want to like, if I go back into the industry, it's like working to like create it from the beginning and to specifically like create a working environment where everyone understands that they're like a functioning part of this, like, I don't even want to call it family. I want to call it of this like microcosm, and we can create this. And if we do it really well, other people will want to do it as well, because that's like why they send spies to other corporations to see what the fuck's happening. So they can take what they want and move forward. And I can't imagine like one working for a white man right now specifically. I can't imagine like walking into a place where everyone that has the last say about things have never worked a day in the service industry. And I can't imagine like having to do the thing where I go through 100 applications and I only see 3 women / people of color applying for a job. I can't do it. I also can't go back to a situation where I literally, this is a little fucked up, but I was legitimately roofied and was expected to go into work the next day.
I
Like,
have a fun roofie story.
They had no,
God.
like, they were like, we'll fuck this person up, blah, blah, whatever. But they were like expecting me to come into work directly from where I woke up because my shift started an hour ago.
So I'm going to call out Evil Olive, chicken and porn.
Okay.
Oh.
There was a guy wearing a chicken suit who I assumed worked at the bar, was pouring shots into people's mouths. There was something in that bottle because, like, I was gone. Bye, see ya. And, like, luckily I was with cook friends who were like, yo, you're, like, acting crazy. Like, we're going to take you home, put you in bed, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And, I mean, luckily I had the next day off, so I wasn't expected to work. But still, it's just, like, I mean, that was one of those things where it's like, thank God I was with good people, you know, to protect me. But
Yeah.
don't trust the guy in the chicken suit is then the moral of that story.
Right. And this kind of just naturally points me into where, you know, we will conclude. But I mean, and this goes for, you know, you as well, Nariba. What are some things that male chefs specifically, need to hear?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Damn.
I was like
Sit
trying
down,
to think
be
about
quiet.
it. Yeah. I was gonna say, shut your hole and know your role. Like, maybe you should like learn something from this. Like, entire past year, like all of you need to just really take a moment and think about where you're at and the stories you've heard along the last year.
It's time for you.
Intersection.
Hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just male chefs. I think it's male owners and managers too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
The
they seem
menses.
the menses.
Yeah.
But they don't have menses.
No.
No.
Well, not the traditional way, but
Yeah.
I feel
Also,
like,
male chefs, if a female line cook is telling you, I need to go to the bathroom right now, let her go to the fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have a, like we
That
said.
is insane.
I bonded with Nariba over, like, I was like, can we have a moment of silence for all the panties that I've ruined, like not being
Yeah.
able to leave the line and physically bleeding all over myself for
Yep.
4 hours, like.
or the hard switch I made from like, I used to not wear anything but black pants because of that reason.
100%.
And then I was like, fuck that shit. Like, if I have to listen to you talk about like all of your fucking jizz jokes, I should be able to be like, I have to go to the bathroom and replace my Diva cup. Goodbye. Like,
Not the Diva Cup. All
if
right.
you have a penis, you should know about periods.
Period.
Period. Yeah.
Period. Well, I mean, damn. Jamie,
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah. Yes. And I see what you
You know
did
where you
there.
are? You in the jungle, baby.
Yes,
You
with
gonna
this
die.
And we're sipping on this delightful
Yes.
bird.
Yes, this jungle bird,
if you will.
Yes, this jungle bird is gonna take us out. I love the caca. Yes.
Same.
Yes.
I'm really into. Damn it, Ashley. She's gone.
They're just like so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're gorgeous
This
to
straight
look
up
at.
reminds me of a snow cone.
And I feel like we use the term delightful a ton, but this
There's
is
not a
so
problem with
delightful and so beautiful and so delicious.
So good.
And
If
I
it
love
was
the glass
afternoon-
straws, too.
what's the
Very-
name of this,
Save the
aperitif?
sea animals.
yes, save the turtles.
Yeah,
You know, it's
they're
really
very
important for sure.
Giffard.
Giffard.
This,
Yes.
it's like.
A little ASMR.
Ooh, that does feel nice.
It's not Campari, but it's like
Aperol.
Aperol. Yes.
Got it.
And for me, this is like not as bitter
Okay.
as those other two.
Are you comparing this to like an Aperol Spritz?
No.
No. Okay. Oh, you're just referring to yeah.
Yeah, just the wait, let me.
I drink too fast. I'm already done.
Not an Aperol spritz. Not an. I'm going back to snow cone. I'm going back to like an aperitif snow cone.
Well, I mean, I would completely agree.
It's luscious.
It is luscious.
It is luscious.
I got a cactus
Yes.
in mine.
Yes.
You got a cactus in yours?
I do have a cactus.
Nice.
I think I have a
in
Monstera.
mine.
I'm getting Monstera leaf tattoo soon. Sorry.
I
We're
love
good.
this. And so on our way out to conclude
Mm-hmm.
this episode, I want to make it a little lighthearted and fun.
Yeah, I
and,
know. I've dropped a lot of heavy shit on you guys.
Oh no, I mean it's entirely
Palate
fine.
cleanser.
A little intermezzo, if you will, and I'm pretty sure this question is from Max, but you've got quite the fabulous Instagram.
Yeah.
NBD, super big deal though.
I feel like that's a whole episode in and of itself.
Oh right, I mean for sure. But then how would you say that social media kind of has changed the way you like work and operate? Is that a big facet of?
It used to be a huge facet for me, and it was like a lot of like, oh, I gotta hype myself up, and I gotta get all these followers, and like, and it created just this really unhealthy situation for me. And like when I went to California, it was like a big thing there because it's a slippery slope. Now I see it for what it is, and I definitely have distanced myself from it. The Chef Honeybee, I'm just gonna leave it whatever, but if you do want to follow me, I'm more on my new kind of handle. It's more art focused and more like personal and kind of just mental health based, and that's wandering.wild.woman on Instagram. I also have an Etsy shop. I've been selling just like little stickers and stuff, and I'm gonna start working on some bigger pieces and more personal subject matter. So
Amazing. Sweet. Well, don't be sad.
It's not-
that it's over.
I know.
Be
I
glad that
tried.
it happened. So yes.
thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for having me and just
Thanks
like
for coming.
giving
No,
me
and
a
thanks for
space.
coming.
You know,
For sure.
this is super cool. You guys
know-
are awesome, and I love listening. Oh, I'm just like I can't believe like I was on here. I feel so cool.
I mean, I'm just like,
Stop it.
we get all these, so this is the thing. I started following people as soon as like the discussion happens about like potential guests, and then I'm
Same.
just creeping like a
Same.
fucking crazy
Same.
person.
Same.
And then I was like, yeah, Jamie's coming in today, and it's gonna be fine and great. And then I saw you, and I was like,
It's like
I
feeling
feel
is mutual. I was
cool.
like, hey, hi.
well,
They're
that's
just
I mean,
cool
and like
kids.
Flavor Supreme's here. Like I was like, I was
Brr,
like
brr,
fangirling
brr,
so bad. I was like, oh my god.
Oh my
Yes.
god, you should have
Flavor
been
Supreme.
here. I feel.
Yes.
I mean, last week Joey told me to not. What did you say? Not to
Deprecate.
deprecate. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
ladies in the kitchen, quit self-deprecating because then you start believing that, and it's not true.
Yeah. So I'm working on it, but
I'm right there with you. It's tough.
hard. Yeah, it's hard.
All right,
Deprogramming is as traumatic as getting the initial programming.
Shite. I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk to Eleanor about that this week.
Right. It's real.
Yeah.
Well, again, I want to thank you for coming, Jamie. This has been absolutely amazing. I also want to thank Blind Barber for just being an amazing space for us to have these conversations. Also, Just Ice for their support as well.
Hell yeah, these drinks have been chipped up.
Fire. Ritual Beverage for always, providing us with supreme product. Ashley Christine of Garnet, our wonderful producer, Max. And also, we did mention Flavor Supreme because they're in the building. So thank you so much.
You guys need a soundboard with one of those on.
I keep saying it.
We keep saying it. We're gonna figure it out.
Or just
manifest that
or
shit.
just record me doing it. And
Right,
just have
and
a
then just
button.
every single time, it's
Yeah.
just like there
So you
it
don't
is.
have to pay for that shit because Kanye probably owns it.
We will find an unlicensed version of it, and
Yeah.
we will just pop it right on in there. But in closing, this is Justin Arnett Graham, and you can find me on Instagram at whatsbeco, WHATSBECO. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I just feel so honored to be able to listen in on on this conversation and, hopefully take what I have learned and, what I've always been conscious of and just kind of help, empower my male colleagues to start looking at the greater version and the greater vision, of, all elements of contribution and empowerment within the industry. So on that note from me, peace.
And this is Nariba Shepherd, reminding you all to not be shitty people, and really think about like what we talked about here today and how you may have played into it, or if you're like trying to make a little change in the way that you interact with others. We gave a lot of like really useful tips in this one. And if you want to ask questions about it, you can find me at Rebaru, Rebaru on Instagram, and I can help you. I'll be nice. And I think that's it for us, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.